Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Spencer Wade on the line. He's founder and principal strategist over at List Conversions. Spencer, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be with you, Adam.
Oh man, so I'm excited about today's topic. So building lifetime value. I mean, that's one of the things that your company specializes in. So you're the guy I want on the line to talk about this. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit more about what you're doing over at List Conversions. Tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Excellent. Definitely glad to be able to share this information. We're a full-service digital partner agency. Started back in 2014. After the financial collapse, I actually went back to school. Most call it a midlife crisis. I called it reformatting my direction. And basically, after coming out of college with a degree, I started List Conversions. When I started the company, I started it with a different format. There were all these companies out there trying to be, full service marketing agencies, and we kind of wanted to be a niche. So we primarily focused around paid search. Over the years, we saw that most companies were losing their direction by hiring too many people in the process. So we became a full service agency. We're a full service Google partner, Microsoft agency, primarily focused around paid, but that bleeds into full service. We really enjoy what we do. We're very unique. In 2016, I asked all my employees at the time who had actually bought us from a random sales call, and none of us could ever point to anything that we had bought from a random call. So in 2016, my agency stopped making sales calls, and we converted to referral only. That means that we educate the public and focus on being the educators. And when you build a good foundation, kind of like you've done for yourself, Adam, people have a sense to come to you. So today we're proud to say we haven't made a sales call since 2016. We focus on building relationships and starting from the ground up. And that's kind of what put us to a full service agency as of today.
Man, I love it. And I love when something grows really organic and you're really listening to your client base and you're focused on adding value. Because if you weren't doing that, then you wouldn't be as successful as you are, and it just doesn't work. So I can always spot when somebody's really doing that or when somebody's kind of paying lip service to doing that. I mean, you can always tell. But that being said, I do want to transition. Let's get into lifetime value and building that. Where do you want to start with this one?
Lifetime value can pretty much go in multiple directions. It's basically the core of my business. What do I mean by that? When you're a good business person and you do things right, people have a sense to want to work with you. And over the years of owning many different businesses, I've learned that by treating people fair and with respect, they have a tendency to follow you wherever you go. So after looking at years and years of understanding, why are these people continuing to follow me from a financial background all the way to marketing? And it just was based on value. Every time they came to the call, it was not sales. It was focused on education. Every time they came to the call and were confused on expenses or what they had paid for, we educated them and taught them to, really understand what it is they're paying for. And it kind of develops this long-term play where people think you are a trusted partner. And I end every sales call with that. Whether we get your deal or not, we don't care. We just want to be your trusted partner. If someone calls you next week telling you they're selling you the Chicago River, wouldn't it be nice to have someone to call? Well, guess what? We've been that person, and we've been that person for years. And when we start to develop and really think that lifetime value out, it means at times you actually have to get rid of bad things. So we're a company that, is very competent. If you can't walk, talk, count, and, respond in a professional manner, then we have to focus on the companies that do. And that does not mean to ever leave anybody on the wayside. It just means that you have to put your energy where the people are, and where the people are is value. In marketing today, it's one of the highest payments that they receive outside of a mortgage payment. So imagine a typical business owner who pays a mortgage receives a payment for marketing that's 3 times what they pay in a mortgage. We always hiccup when we look at our mortgage statement. Imagine looking at a marketing statement. Well, if you prove ROI, explain customers the value of what you're bringing to the table, and then make them always understand that they're not tied to anything. We're a no contract company, and I take pride in saying I feel like we started that. Years ago, everybody wanted to marry you into these contracts. And our focus was like, most people get married once and only want to do it once. So why would we put someone into this relationship that is almost saying it's an unknown factor, and that veers away from value? So we said, no contracts. If you don't like what we're doing, then you can leave us. And by building that type of relationship and reputation, it allowed us to really understand lifetime value, and customer lifetime value is this. If you have 50 friends or peers in a network that have always taken your insight with trust and value, you can retire with those 50 people. Now look at any small business outline and you take 50 people into your pipeline, you can retire there. So that is primarily our focus. And I at times feel like I kind of go off on this, but lifetime value is the backbone to everything that we do. If you're not going to bring value to my business or my life, then I have to find someone that will. And it's quite refreshing when you find a company that says, we don't want to put you into a contract. We want to educate you first before you sign into anything that is going to take you to the next level. And by doing all of those steps, we feel that it comes back. And what do I mean by that, lifetime value? I have a client who's been doing business with me since I opened my first music and clothing store when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
Had a store, opened it up. The person came to do business with me. He was a vendor. Years later, to this day, I do his marketing and have done the marketing for his business since I opened my company. Now, how would that person come all the way back from 20 years of distance? Value. You bring value. And then to kind of, button it up a little bit, but value comes from both sides. You have to give to get. So that's why we are a no-nonsense agency. Most people might take this a little wrong, but we've let go of over 60 accounts since January. How many agencies let go of business that's paying them? None. We do. Why? Because if we don't feel we're bringing value to you or you're bringing value to the cause, then it's best that you find a different business structure that can get you to where you need to be, and it allows us to not get bogged down on any unnecessary nonsense. And we found that to be very, very receptive by everybody involved. And I joke all the time. We have something in my company called Ugly Jerry. Learned it from a marketing event that I was at, and it basically is this. It's that when customers come to you and they shop you over and over again, we now have a saying that we tell them, don't be Ugly Jerry. And the first thing they say is, what does that mean? It means that if you come to me, we educate you, we do everything in our power to help you, and then you leave us because someone else sold you the river, and come back to us in 3 months, understand that our pricing is now different. And what do we mean by that? We gave you all the tools to be successful 3 months ago. You went and bought the river. You realized that the river was not for sale and you're in a conundrum now. Now you come back to us saying, we bought the river. And so we tell people that, and at first it kind of seems off-putting, but people actually like it because I'm honestly telling you, if you are shopping us, then you have the potential of a higher cost down the road. And so that's just something that we take pride in, and it's been a topic of several of my talks. And it's not something that I highlight, but it's just we all have to remember everyone has to come together for lifetime value to work.
No, I love it. And one of the things that I noticed about, and it's kind of interesting because we have a pretty similar background, so being in finance at one point and now being more on the media or on your end on the marketing side, but me on the media side. And it's interesting because, as you said, having clients that no matter how many businesses you start, no matter what you're doing, is like there will be people that follow you and that are your loyal clients no matter what. I have people that I've published and that are now working with me on different things on the podcast and wanting to launch shows that that were my clients when I was an advisor years ago. And I'm like, I haven't managed money in a long time. And it's interesting to me because the whole thing is that they know where my heart's at. They know what I'm trying to do. They know, I'm always honest and truthful. To put it this way, to use your example, for that first client that you was doing business with you since you were 19, when you started your agency, he may have been your first couple of clients. Who knows? He knew that, and he was okay with that. And he knew one thing. He knew Spencer's going to take care of me. He wasn't worried about you didn't have the most employees or the biggest shop or the best office. He knew Spencer is going to look out for me, and he's going to do the best work he can do. And that's what. And I like that. And he knew that you were going to get better and better. He knew all these things, and you didn't have to put on a show. All you had to do was give him your word that you're doing what you do, and that's it.
And that's one of the things that we talk about at the highlight into the calls with every customer. I know companies that ring a bell every time they make a sale. So imagine that. You're trying to be successful with your business today, and all of a sudden someone calls you and sells you some package service. You like the way the person talks, so you buy into it. Next thing you know, you hang up and think, my gosh, I've got this person that really cares about me and is going to take care of me. That person walks 10 feet away after hanging up and rings the bell so everybody in the office knows that they just closed a deal. We are not collecting checks. We sign them. So if you work with someone who's collecting a check, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're working with someone who's signing them, they have as much backing behind everything they're doing as the person that's writing the check to us. And we say that all the time. You can write checks or you can cash them. We're writing them. And that means that we're not just chasing you. Another good example, for the first several years of my company, every CEO, I actually went to a meeting and was instructed on how much money I should be delegating myself out of my monthly intake. And the number was gaudy, but I took it. And then at 6 months into taking that money, I said, what the heck am I doing? I took the money and put it in an escrow account. Well, guess what? The economy collapsed a month ago, and I've got 2 years worth of payroll because I self-invested my fancy CEO paycheck back into my business. And so that's the unique thing about my company. We're not chasing paychecks. I don't have to make payroll or make a deal just to make payroll. And, sir, I manage over 600 vertical or entities across the United States, and there's million-dollar businesses that are 1 month away from closing. God forbid something bad happens, and guess what? It just did. So that's another thing that I actually share with my clients to let them know I'm not, I don't have 6 Mercedes. I'm reinvesting into this cause because this is something I'm going to retire with. This is not, just so you know, Adam, I've had 6 offers to buy my company. One was so big last year, my wife almost divorced me. Not really, but it was a big number. And everybody's like, why is this guy not biting the line? Here's another good example. I have a rule in my company. If you need a tool to do your job, get another job. Stuff breaks. You can't do your job with a pen and pencil or a paper and pen. Then you might want to find something else because stuff breaks all the time. Well, here I am years into business. I don't rely on tools to tell me if my work is good. I go in and reverse engineer and break it down. And so here's a good example. Agencies right now that have relied wholeheartedly on tools and all of these necessary things to, show extra value are struggling major right now because the tools are struggling, the clients are struggling, and so now you're just paying for this third-party thing that's supposed to create magic. So not meaning to veer off, but it does tie back to lifetime value. You really have to keep a handle on your thing, and you want to work with people that are on the up and up, not someone that literally in 30 days' time could be, under, so to speak.
So Spencer, that being said, first off, I know we can talk about this all day long, but if somebody's listening to this and they want more information on lift conversions or to connect with you and your team, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can find us liftconversions.com. Definitely. Like I said, we're a very unique company. We definitely answer every email within 3 hours, regardless if it's something we're working on. So Lift Conversions. LinkedIn is a good network to kind of connect with because we can kind of talk before we take it to a web URL, which is based on sales and pitches and things like that. So LinkedIn, Spencer Wade on LinkedIn. But ultimately, hopefully they'll come to your show and just kind of find their way where they need to be. And I'll, highlight that you've got an amazing podcast going with enough data to keep everybody very entertained and well educated over these coming weeks. Just wanted to highlight that.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, Spencer, really appreciate it. And so thank you for coming on the show and talking more about how you've built lifetime value in your company and how others can consider building it in theirs. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the video. I mean, love to know what kind of things you're working on. And Spencer, thanks again for coming on the show.